Yes, YouTube, welcome back to another video and thanks for joining me. So in today's video we're going to check out how we're doing on the algae issues on the AGA 45P, as well as I'll show you the progress we've made so far on the biggest terrarium build we've ever made. So if that's something that interests you, then make sure you stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get on with today's video. Now for those of you who've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that I've been having some algae problems with this tank. Now we originally set this tank up probably, not even a year yet, probably about 9 months. And this tank's been going really well. We set up the Tropica CO2 system on it, and we completely escaped out and stocked it from scratch. Now it did have a really good period where it just started growing in really nicely. We did have to replace some of the plants because they were too big. Now we removed the hydra feeder, pinnator feeder, as well as the dwarf sage as well. Now I think the planting in here is looking really well at the moment, minus the algae issues. There are going to be some updates I'm going to do and replace some plants and do a little bit of tidying up on this tank in general. But the algae issues sort of stopped us in our tracks and really become a problem. It was sort of fur algae and it became everywhere. It started clinging onto the plants, onto the hardscape. Now, one of the main reasons this happened was because the CO2 system I used, the Tropica system, and for those who've been following the channel, you'll know that I didn't really get on with the system and had to replace it. Now, the one I replaced it with was from CO2 Supermarket. Now, this tank went without CO2 for roughly about 2 weeks, and that's when the algae issues started to happen. So I know a lot of you will run out and buy solutions and cures and chuck different chemicals in your tank and maybe panic and try and get rid of all these problems, because it can be disheartening when you do set a tank like this, spend a lot of money on plants and then feel like it's just ruined. Now the point I'm trying to get across in today's video is not to panic, it's to just take your time, alter things slowly, and in past videos I've discussed about, I reduced the light periods of this tank, now this is down to 5 hours. Now today I've upped that to 6 hours for the first day, and we'll see how that gets along. And I did know the main issue was the imbalance in the tank was from not having the CO2 system on there. So since adding the CO2 Supermarket CO2 system, we've had some great success. Initially I was cutting a lot of the plants away with algae on to try and get rid of the issue, but since adding the CO2 system back on, the algae has just started to disappear. So the point I'm trying to make to you is to take your time and allow your tank to settle and try and find the cause of the issue rather than dumping all these products into your tank. Now this is how the tank looked 3 weeks ago, and this is how it looked when I took a picture of it 2 days ago. Now as you can see, you'd think that took a lot of work to do that. I literally didn't. The last maintenance done on this tank was in the video you would have seen on this channel, and I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to go and check that out. And I haven't done anything since. I haven't removed any of the algae, I haven't scrubbed anything off. The CO2 system balancing this tank out has just cured the problem for me. So made it a lot easier. But we don't want to get complacent. We still need to do some maintenance on this tank. Every week I'll do a 50% water change, try and remove as much of the algae as I can just to help it along. But that's about it. like you can see, there's been a lot of progress on this tank. It's come a long way, and it's nice to see it get back to its former glory, and now we have the plants the way that we want them. The algae is starting to die down, but I'm going to continue to carry on with 50% water changes each week and taking whatever algae out I can actually see to help this process along while the tank gets balanced from when it initially, well, from when the CO2 wasn't running on it. So obviously when I'm doing my water changes, you need to make sure that you add interchlorinator into the water. Those of you who got fish probably already know this, but this is the one I use and I find it much better than most of the brands because it lasts a long time. So I'll leave a link down in the description for you. So the only thing I'm going to do now after my water change, which I usually do, is add fertilizer in, which is going to be this, which is just a Flourish general fertilizer. So I'll add a bit of that in now. Okay, so finally the hard bit of the build is done, and I know for a couple of you from the last video understand that is a relief for me, which it is, and I do enjoy building these, but it's just the same process 3 times to such an extent. Obviously this is a 4-foot high enclosure, 2 foot wide, 2 foot deep. This is the biggest one we've ever done, slightly bigger than Castro's tank, which was originally Bert's, but we are done. Now, I think the next part of this is going to be adding the drainage layer, adding the substrate and planting, which you'll know by now. So we'll do that. I'll need to go online and order some plants, and I can't really do that until Wednesday. This is Monday. So I'll be ordering plants on Wednesday online, so hopefully we'll get this planted up and the video on this will be out before. I don't know if it'll be before this Sunday's video, but maybe on next Wednesday's or Sunday's video. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Now I'm really happy with the way this has turned out so far. Now I've used all cork branches, cork tubes, pieces of cork on this to keep that uniform look. Now when that's planted in, I think it'll look a little bit more cohesive and it'll bring it all together. But I've tried to add planting areas where I can, up as much as I can up the sides, to try and encourage it to look as lush, of some hiding space for birds, and obviously help with the humidity. So we'll soon know if this has worked as soon as we plant it. So if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell notification, and that's what you need to do. As easy as that. Okay, and I hope you've taken something from today's video or you've enjoyed it. Now, as always, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, because I am releasing 3 videos a week at the moment, which is the regular Wednesday and Sunday video. Sunday video, usually we're doing a build or something a bit more in detail. Wednesday, we'll generally do some maintenance, have a look at some animals or just anything in general. And I'm also releasing a quick tips or up-to-date video on in between those 2 uploads. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell, otherwise you may miss a video. Now, as always, I really appreciate your support. If you can show me that by dropping me that thumbs up, leave me a comment to show YouTube you're enjoying this sort of content and allows me to make more videos like these. But I think that's enough from today's video, and I'll see you in the next. Bye.